Today on Shakedown, it's Ashley Freiberg, the most recent race winner in the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup challenged by Yokohama. Racing fast enough, racing savvy enough to be leading the championship after the first 6 races of this 18-race series. She leads with 96 points versus 92 for perennial fast guy Madison Snow versus 76 points for Angel Benitez, last year's gold class winner that moved up to the top platinum class to race against Ashley. So today's show, it is Ashley Freiberg via Skype to talk to us about the challenges of being a young racer, a winning racer, what you need to know if you want to start racing, and much, much more. And for those of you commenters that think only guys can talk about racing and cars, well, stay tuned to see how effed up that logic is. Ashley can talk and drive and race really fast, really well. So as I mentioned in the intro, Ashley Freiberg is joining us. Ashley, fresh from coming back from Watkins Glen and winning that first Porsche Cup race in your career, having a championship leading season so far in 6 races, as I mentioned earlier. You know, you listed Watkins Glen as your favorite track. Was that before or after you kicked ass?
That was before that race, actually. I was there in a Skip Barber Formula car, which was obviously way different than the Porsche GT3 Cup car, but it's definitely still my favorite now, that's for sure.
In race 1, I saw you, I believe you finished second. Is that correct? Is that where we ended up in race 1 at Watkins?
Yes.
Okay. And then something changed. You figured something out, and literally you turned that race into not a race. I mean, you just had the pace, consistency pulled away. What did you learn between race 1 and 2? And by the way, through this whole interview, I don't expect you to trade secrets because we're in the middle of the championship. But if you could.
Well, you know, obviously in race 1, it was, I led a couple of laps in the middle there, so I definitely had that taste of the win. So it just really made me super determined to figure out what to do better for race 2. And I went back to my hotel room and I just, you know, reviewed the video over and over and over and figured out, okay, is there a way I can get around traffic better? Is there a way I could have started the race better? And, you know, I just basically, you know, critiqued myself as hard as I could and just kind of, you know, figured out ways to be better. And that's kind of how I figured out for race 2.
So one of the things we like to do in these talks is allow our fans to hear a little bit about how a racer really thinks and does the job. So we'll get to a little bit of your background coming up through karts and the Skip Barber programs and now in this Porsche Cup series, but you kind of set up for a question I want to ask you. How did you learn to win a race versus just drive fast and be in a race? What goes on? What makes that difference to be a winner?
Well, I think, you know, mentally you do have to believe that you can win, because there is kind of a mental barrier that you kind of have to break yourself through. But to be honest with you, I'm no natural at this. And I just work really, really hard to get to where I am. And that's kind of my philosophy, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am right now.
Well, I'm going to use that for a segue to go back to your background, but I'm going to pile on what you just said. I know there's talent, but I don't think anyone's a natural. I mean, I'd love all the racers and wannabes to understand that to be good at this craft, you have to work at developing your skills. You just don't pop in and become Senna Junior. It's always work. Help me out. Make sure that I'm telling these guys the right thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, before every race weekend, I'm preparing pretty hard. You know, I'm watching previous in-car video or data, or, you know, calling around asking people who've been to the track, or, you know, and working out like crazy, making sure I'm in physical shape and eating well and making sure I'm sleeping right. And, you know, there's so many different components that go into being a successful athlete. And that's just before the weekend. And during the weekend, you know, same thing. After the races or any session, you're coming in and you're immediately looking at video and data and talking with your engineers and writing up post reports. And same thing after the weekend. You know, it's a constant work in progress, and you're really never just kind of riding it out. You're always working as hard as you can.
Well, you're making this interview easy because I'm just crossing things off that I was going to ask you about debrief and working with the team. And we talked about being talented but having to work at it. But now I'm looking at your resume. We've not been racing all that long, have we? You started in karts in what, 2006? Competitively?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I started in go-karts when I was 13. I raced in go-karts for like 2 years before I got into a car. Obviously, I wanted to be as good as I can at that level before I moved up. So I won a couple championships in go-karts. Moved up to Skip Barber, same thing. I wanted to perfect my craft there. Won a couple championships there, and then Star Mazda last year, and then GT3 Cup this year.
How did the racing thing start? Where'd you get this bug?
Well, I was introduced to racing when I was 11.
Okay.
And, I was always such a tomboy, like super competitive, and I played all kinds of sports. So it was hard for me not to want to try it. When I was first introduced to it, I didn't really think girls raced, actually, because I didn't see any girls out there. I kind of thought it was like football, like, girls just don't really do it. But then, I did start to see a few out there, and I was like, hey, maybe this is something I can do. Went to the Jim Hall karting school in Ventura, California, sat in a go-kart for the first time, and immediately fell in love with it.
Jim Hall is the, son or nephew or something of Jim Hall, the Chaparral guy, the legend?
Yeah, I think he's the son.
Son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through that program. You just did more with it than I did, but I digress. So I saw you at Lime Rock. Talk to me a little bit about what happens. I mean, there's this bad cliche from one of these bad racer movies where you win a race and all the sponsorship tumbles around you. But talk to me a little bit about what's been happening after the race and what you as a professional, even though it's an amateur series Porsche Cup, it's a step toward pro racing. So what's been happening after this win in Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago?
Well, for me personally, after the win, I don't really view myself as anything different. I'm still the same driver. I just now that because winning a race takes so many different, there's so many different variables that have to come together to win a race. You could be the best driver out there and not win at all during the whole race season. You have to be in this right car with the right team, and you have to have luck on your side, and there's just a lot of different variables. So for me, having that win, me as a driver, I definitely think, I'm still the same. But without a doubt, having that win has definitely brought a lot more attention, and I've gained a lot more respect in the racing world because, I've shown that I'm the real deal now. And going to Lime Rock, I went there because ALMS is racing there, and I want to be in the United Sports Car Racing Series next year. And so I wanted to go there to kind of show my face and talk to some teams and let them know that, I'm serious about this. I want to move forward and, run with some of you guys. And so that's basically what I was doing there. And, it's definitely been interesting, that's for sure.
So let's destroy one myth about spec car racing, single make racing. You had mentioned some of the elements of being with the right team and kind of having the right approach. Let's talk about a single make car and how it's still all the things that go into a proper setup, proper team dynamic, managing the car, managing the situation. Blow up the myth that it's all the cars are equal and it's just down to the driver. It's down to the driver, but it's all the pieces. Take me through the rest of it, please.
Yeah, I mean, being in a spec series, there are less adjustments you can make to the car as well. So those few adjustments become that much more important to having a great car and having an okay car. And that's something that Effort and myself, we've all been working hard to figure out. And I think that that's something that helped us for the win on Sunday at Watkins Glen is we just realized that, these 5 changes that we can make the difference between finishing second and finishing first. And, it's, in some ways it's harder because you have to figure that out. And like you said, having the right team dynamic, we are on teams with, engineers, mechanics, and managers, and, driver coaches, and we do all have to mesh well together, and teammates and everything else. So there's definitely a lot more that goes into it than, oh, everyone's in the same situation,
Just grab the wheel harder. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Your team is Effort Racing. They're a good team, but you've taken them to the front and helped in that way. Talk to me a little bit for the fans, for the viewers. How do you collect data in the car? I mean, what are you thinking about, and how do you have the responsibility to translate that to your engineer and your crew chief beyond the telemetry that comes out of the car? I mean, it's still the driver. What do you have to do, and how do you do it?
Well, when you're behind the wheel, you're constantly taking in data, like through the things that you feel and the things that you're thinking about. Nonstop. You're going through a corner, and let's say the car is sliding a little bit, and you're immediately asking yourself questions. Okay, what just happened? Why did it happen? Did I do this with my hands? Did I do this with my feet? It's a constant process of elimination. Just trying to weed everything down to, okay, what's the problem? What can we do better here? Is there something that I can try to make this better? And if not, then that's when it comes back to the engineer, and I'm saying, okay, this is what we need to be faster. It's, happening through however many corners of the racetrack. Probably, there's how many, 15 corners per racetrack that we go to. So it's a constant process of thinking throughout every lap.
And you said it earlier, there's paperwork involved. You get out of the car, you have to make your notes, organize your thinking, collect what you recall, and then, I assume, communicate it intelligently to the engineers so they can match up what you're feeling and saying versus the real telemetry to make the change.
Right, and that's the thing, is like you can't just go to your engineer and be like, oh, the car stinks,
Yeah.
or oh, the car has understeer. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, you have to explain, okay, well, in the last quarter of the corner, as I'm applying throttle and starting to release my hands, the car is doing this. And I've tried this with my driving, it didn't work. I've tried, you have to help the engineer as well understand the full picture of what's going on, because, that communication is super important, because you might be saying one thing and he could be thinking another thing, and then suddenly the wrong change has been put on the car. So that communication is definitely important.
Tell me what it's like to race the Porsche versus the other cars you raced. Was there any transfer of knowledge, or was it just a whole new experience and you've kind of started to figure it out?
Well, throughout my racing career, I've driven a lot of different types of open wheel cars. I've driven in the rain, I've driven on ovals, street courses, road courses. So, I've been pretty adaptable throughout my career. I've been forced to be adaptable and open to learning, and just open-minded in general. And I think that that's definitely transferred well over to getting into a Porsche, because, it's just like a new factor to kind of try to figure out. I mean, even if you're racing, if I was last year racing in a Star Mazda, every time I got in it, I had an open mind, because I didn't know what the track conditions were like. I didn't know what the car was going to be like. So you just have to be open-minded all the time as a driver in general.
Do you feel you've got a particular driving style? Like, do you like the car to be like on the front, on the nose? Or you like something that kind of does the power down back end? Low drag and let it fly, or give me some downforce to work with? I mean, is there something in the way that an Ashley drives?
Well, I'm a pretty smooth driver, so I actually like my cars to have a little bit of oversteer. At least that's what I've kind of learned this year with, having my two teammates, and we're trying to have the same setup on the car. And, I've definitely always had a different kind of setup. Not that it's right or wrong, I just drive differently. So I would say that I'm a smooth driver.
So give me a little bit of advice to give to young drivers on when they start racing and in those first races. I mean, I'm kind of leading the witness here a little bit, but I hear a lot of this mindset of I've got to go 10 tenths or 11 tenths, and there's always pushing. But Tell me how you should approach those first races. Do you drive within a sense of what's comfortable, I dare say, or is there some other dynamic that you'd share with a young driver so they learn, don't screw up, whatever?
Right. Well, I would just say, obviously, when you're starting out in go-karts, just learn as much as you can, have fun. You should always be having fun, by the way, like throughout your entire career. But yeah, and if you're serious about it, like make sure you get a good coach or a mentor. That's extremely important. But I think one of the biggest things is just, stay open to learning, because, that's really what's going to come in handy at the end of the day is, if you've gotten out of the cart or car or whatever you're driving, if you get out of the cart and you're like, okay, you know what, I've learned this much and I'm going to apply it the next time I get in, then that should be all that matters.
Now, the other elephant in the room, quite frankly, is how do you manage being a woman driver in this generation of racing?
To be honest, in my brain, I'm no different. I feel like everybody looks at me like I'm different. Well, obviously, because to them I am, but, I've always viewed myself as a driver. And, when I get to the track, I'm pretty much too focused on doing as good of a job as I can to really focus on all that background noise. So that's kind of how I deal with it.
Cards on the table. Have the other racers treated you as an equal?
It depends. For the most part, yeah.
I bet you they'll treat you more as an equal at the next race at Canada Tire Motorsport Park or Mosport.
Yeah, you definitely have to earn your respect, but you still get the sexism for sure.
Now, let's see if you hate me or like me or whatever. Has Danica helped or hurt women racers, in your opinion?
I think she's helped. She's opened a lot of doors for women. Let's be honest here. She has brought a lot of attention to women in racing, and she is competitive. How many times did she finish in the top 5 in the IndyCar overall championship? And yeah, she didn't win races, but like I said, so much goes into winning a race that, you don't have to be, you can be the best driver and you might not win a race. Yeah. So, I think she's definitely opened up a lot of doors for women, and she's inspired me.
Have you met Danica?
I have not.
If you met her, what would you say to her?
Well, to be honest,
yeah,
I know that she's been through a lot, and she's experienced a lot of things, and I'm sure that she's experienced a lot of things that I'm going through, and I would love to meet her and converse with her about some of that stuff, because, I would just be interested to see how she's dealt with certain scenarios, and I just think it'd be interesting.
Back to young racer education. How do you focus in the car?
Well, every time before I get behind the wheel, I have a routine, like the way I put my gear on and stuff is a certain way every time. And, once I'm behind the wheel, I'm pretty much talking to myself nonstop all the way around the track, reminding myself of things I need to do, just basically keeping my mind on track. And that's pretty much how I stay focused.
When you need to find extra speed, don't give me secrets, but when you need to find extra speed, where are you searching for it? Brake zone, mid-corner, corner exit? Where do you feel you find it?
To me, there's no real one thing. There's no magic thing that you can find more speed with. It's kind of it's a full package. Are you online? Are you staying smooth? Are you doing all the basic things right? And just from there, you kind of have to build off of that. There's no one magic answer.
So we all learned Skip Barber, brake zone, turn in, apex, power down, track out. Are you racing, driving the car still with that sense of connecting the dots? Or has it become more intuitive, more flowing now, and it just happens?
It's definitely more intuitive, but like I said, depending on the scenario, I might have to work more on my brake zones, or I might have to work on my mid-corner speed. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Now, I have a personal question to ask. So I once blew a race lead by not maintaining my pace up front. I didn't have radios. That's how old I am. But how did you maintain that lead, a significant lead that you had at Watkins Glen to win that race? Were you getting lap times? Were you looking at telemetry? Or did you just feel, hey, this is the fastest I'm comfortable going? Or, you know what, I'm so comfortable, I'm just going. What was it like? Because fix my mistake.
Actually, my lap timer wasn't working, and my radio wasn't working. So, yeah, basically I just got into a rhythm, and I was talking my way through the entire race, and I was focusing forward and not looking in my mirrors, and I was just going as hard as I could.
Cool. Now, you and I share another thing, that we were both into gymnastics. You were a gymnast, I guess?
I was a long time ago.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
me too, a longer time ago, but here's my question. Talk to me a little bit about how much you think balance is important and valuable as a racer.
Well, I think it's really valuable for like hand-eye coordination, and just kind of helps you understand how the car moves, you know, transferring weight from each corner of the car, and how to maximize, you know, how much grip you develop by transferring the weight around, and understanding when is too much when you tip over the edge. So, you know, basically all of driving a car is balancing. But you know what? I heard that the Boston College gymnastics program wasn't as good as once you left.
You need to stop going on the internet and checking out the people that are interviewing you. So nice freaking try. Okay, so last question. You're going to go to Mosport. We're going to see you there. It's the 7th and 8th race. When you show up at Mosport, what do you think is going to happen first? How are you going to approach that?
Well, I've never been there. So the first thing is going to be I learn the track.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just going to go with the same mindset I always go with. You know, am I online? Am I smooth? Am I doing all my basics right? You know, I just want to make sure that every day I leave the racetrack, I know that I've done everything that I could to, you know, make the days go as successful as they can. And, you know, everything else is kind of out of my control. The results are out of my control. So that's kind of my plan.
Well, I mentioned in the intro that you're leading the points. If memory serves me right, in these first 6 races, you've pretty much been hanging around top 4 or 5, podium, now win. So I don't care what anyone says. They're going to be gunning for you, the Madisons and the Angel Benitez. So go get them. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.